Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host, Sree Iyer. Joining me is Professor 𝗤𝗚𝗏. Professor RV are one of the first people to believe that PGurus had a future in media and one of my earliest backers. So let's welcome Professor RV. And this is the topic that we have talked 5, 6, 7 years ago. Professor RV likes to call Europe as Eurobia. And we are going to go back and revisit this, and you will see how true he has been proven. Professor RV, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaste, namaskar, vanakkam. It's always a pleasure to talk to PGurus audience because, as I always maintain, that they are very, very perceptive and knowledgeable. And I thank, of course, Iyer for the opportunity and also the channel, because he has built the channel in a very systematic way, and I'm sure the customary introduction he should have told to subscribe to the channel and join in the group of elites for the channel. So I am doing it on his behalf for this channel. And he has been asking me to be a regular contributor or person to appear. I've been thinking about it. I think soon he will make an announcement either on Friday or Saturday evening. One can fix it or one can pitch it for the future. Today we look at the European and partly US also, European issue. Now there is a significant amount of discussion in EU as well as in European Parliament about this problem of migration. What actually is invasion, they are calling it in terms of migration. It goes back, to a long period. EU was conceived, many of you may or may not recall, somewhere in the early 50s actually. Originally it was for coal and steel type of an alliance, mainly Franco-German, the antagonism, they wanted to bring it down, what is called the 𝗠SCUM is initiative in order to have this steel and coal, so that they were thinking at the end of the Second World War, Germany shouldn't again lapse into what one can call an aggressive power and other thing. So they brought about what is called coal and steel authority in order to have some commonality in terms of policies and other thing. Then slowly a lot of discussion and debate took place about the role of EU. Incidentally, one of the major aspect which used to be stressed, we will come back to this again, is the issue of Christian basis of European Union. This is very, very important. That's one of the reasons why, even so unstated, the Turkey has not been made a member. Turkey is officially, everybody knows, is an Islamic country. They wouldn't say, it was pointed out in 1986 itself, they wouldn't like to have a very large Islamic country sitting in the midst of the European Union idea. Anyhow, so 86 actually the EU Act, and 92 the Treaty of Maastricht came, and slowly more members joined it in terms of and then it was originally Germany, France, UK and the primary members, but so many others in Europe also joined, to the extent now Ukraine also wants to be a part of EU. It wants to apply. Now, in the earlier part of the 50s, huge amount of labor was required because reconstruction was going on because of the funding provided by US and various other countries for the devastated countries of the Second World War, including Germany, Japan, and these countries were provided huge amount of funds. So there used to be a what one can call a master plan in order to take advantage of it. And particularly Germany, you will be surprised or to know that in the 50s they used to send drummers and people playing pipes to Iraq and other places. Yeah, you wanted to ask something?
Sir, I just want to show a small video for our viewers so that we can set the context here. Can you show the video, please, of migrants crossing over?
No. Let that wait. Don't do that now.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Now, I am going back to the period where the migrants were enthusiastically welcomed actually into Germany. They, did all this. They brought actually significant amount of Kurds who are wanting to have a separate country from these Iran, Iraq, and Turkey. They were brought into Germany, primarily for construction laborers as well as for various other type of infrastructure in the 50s. Incidentally, they were all treated as guest laborers. They were not given citizenship. Some of them became, but very rarely. Otherwise, even today, they are all guest workers. They are in Germany, quite a huge number actually, millions, but still. Over a period of time, it's not just the laborers who are brought in. From other parts of Middle East as well as Africa, people started to come in. So because of significant amount of attraction, if I remember correctly, the European facility of 20,000 euro per person for every migrant who is not sent into another country. That was known as the Dublin, what one can call pact. That is, if you enter Greece or if you enter Italy, their entire processing has to be done about the migrant, and after that he becomes a citizen of the Europe itself. Anywhere you can go. Much later, the Schengen visa came, which facilitated this process. If you enter even today, even from India, if you have the Schengen visa, then you can go to any country within the European Union. So this Dublin Pact was implemented. In 2015, Germany had an enormous amount of what one can call migrants, and Merkel famously announced, we can handle this on our own. In other words, she was not enthusiastic about Dublin Pact and other thing, because much of the laborers are coming through Greece and other land routes that time. Later, the sea route was most famous because of the Greece-Germany understanding on the land route got cut off. This is the type of background. Most interestingly, in the year 2000, Schröder used to be the Chancellor of Germany. He introduced 2000, many of you would be knowing from 1998, 99 onward, this Y2K problem became very large, and a huge number of companies were spending maximum amount of money to overcome this Y2K problem. Indian IT experts were also involved, another thing. So Schröder brought in a proposal wherein he wanted to import from India large number of IT professionals in green card. Believe me, he estimated something like 500,000 at least would be encouraged to relocate to Germany. He introduced this idea. That time in Bavaria, there was Joseph Strauss. He is no more. Bavaria used to have a party of Christine party, again CDU, but it was one of the considered as a sort of a right wing. And just Joseph Strauss in Bavaria started a campaign against this proposal of Schröder. He told Indian kids in their kinder will come and take away all our kinder's jobs, all our children's job. This is what and it became a very popular slogan. And actually, he lost the poll, Schröder. This populist Joseph Strauss, he belongs to one state only, but he had a good amount of support, and he was also part of the coalition. And so this idea was dropped to have skilled, technically qualified, IT-enabled Indians to go to Germany. And in lieu of it, in 2015, They had a huge number of people from North Africa and Middle East coming into Germany in hordes and hordes. Most of them were unfortunately not very literate or anything, and most of them are adult males. This is another very interesting thing. They were all coming, and Merkel told we will manage it. And they were that time swamped by the idea of multiculturalism. That means different cultures can coexist in Germany. The same Merkel, at the time of her retirement in the 20s, she clearly mentioned multiculturalism doesn't work. It's not possible to have this multiculturalism in our country. Anyhow, that's so they came, and on an average, every day 10 to 12,000 people were wanting to enter into Germany that time. That is what perhaps he was wanting to show in the form of that time, 𝗖𝗓𝗄𝗻, one of the popular writer and well known in the field of articles and other thing. He cautioned about the danger of so much amount of migrant coming into Germany. Now you may be able to show that Bremer's that one simple slide, and then how he dramatically put it that time.
Yeah, let's show the slide, please.
Yeah, this is the thing. Europe in turmoil. This was in 2015. 10,000 refugees arriving in Germany every day. And he said this is not going to end well. This was 𝗖𝗓𝗄𝗻, who is a very highly regarded person in the YouTube and other channels and other things. Okay. Then what happened? Less of land route based migrant, more of sea route. They were all coming into the sea route into Italy, to the extent last month the Italian Lampedusa, there is one island, small island adjacent to Italy. It is a part of Italy. The population of the island is only 6,000. 12,000 refugees landed there. And earlier to that, so many times the boats used to get capsized and people used to fall into the ocean and then die. The estimate is between 2014 to 2020, 22, roughly 20 to 25,000 people have died in the capsizing of boats. It's a very huge number actually. Very unfortunately, this is not adequately being talked about or discussed compared to the Ukraine war. This is actually the boat tragedy, and because most of the people are brought by what are known as agents, and each is between 8,000 to 10,000 US dollar each pays after getting huge amount of loan and other thing from their respective places. They are fleeing. They are from so many countries: Lebanon, Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq, even Pakistan, and then the traditional African countries which are crowding. So there is a huge problem now faced by Italy and also Spain partly, because many of them are coming through Gibraltar there. And not only this, even US is facing a similar problem. From traditionally, Mexicans used to be the culprits. When I was in the 80s, it used to be told Mexicans are coming to California, Mexicans are coming to Texas. Later, slowly you find the Mexicans are going into Antarctica and Arctica and all, up north. They were no more in the southern side only. You will find the Mexican laborers everywhere actually. And now it has become a huge flood actually. Not only Mexican, Venezuelans, people from Uruguay, so many other groups are also jumping, and there is a big debate in US about the Trump planning to build a wall, and Biden telling he will not encourage it, and now it appears Biden wants to have the wall, and and I don't think the wall alone will solve this issue. I have seen some picture video where barbed wires are there all around. People are trying to, sneak through under the barbed wire and somehow get into that. And they are not one or two. They are, in what one can call coming in hundreds. The famous place is called the creek. I think Iyer will know what creek it's called.
It's in Eagle Pass is the place where you cross Rio Grande. Rio Grande is the river that separates Mexico and US, and this goes for about 2,000 miles. So the border runs along the Rio Grande for 2,000 miles, and it's a very shallow river because it's been dammed like hell, so there is not much water flowing on it. It's got a few places where it's only about foot deep. You can wade across. So what happens is US will build the wall, but it cannot build the wall inside Mexico. It has to build the wall inside its own boundary. So, and it cannot build the wall right on the waterfront. It has to build within because it depends upon the geography. So what happens is people will cross the river and come all the way up to the wall. And then there are shanty towns. Shanty towns mean like Jhopadpatti. Like think of, what is that, 𝗤𝙗𝘗𝘗 slums. There are so many 𝗤𝙗𝘗𝘗 slums. This used to be the case for many, many years now. But they knew they could not get in easily because the CBP, Customs and Border Protection, was very strict. They had a limit. They would deport them back. But what has happened now is there was a law that the Obama administration passed in 2012, where they said that illegals coming to the United States, if you are deporting the illegals, if they have children of 6 years or less, then you should not deport them. So essentially, it was a loophole in illegal immigration. If you have child and you enter in US, you are safe. You will not be deported. Enter Trump in 2017, he abolished that law. So between 2017 to 2021, January 19, that was the last day of Trump's presidency, migration came down drastically. I mean, very, very drastically, significantly. Now, the Democrats promised that they will not only restore DACA, but they will also make up for the lost illegal immigration. So these guys come to power and with a vengeance, they opened the gates. And in fact, PGurus has been saying this from 2021, from Jan 21st, when Biden took power, that this is wrong, that there are people waiting for 15, 18 years for a valid green card from countries like India. Philippines is 75 years, sir. And you are doing them a huge disfavor. They are paying taxes. They are living legally. And you don't even want to look at them. Instead, you are getting all these illegals in. And in a few years, you will give them voting rights and citizenship. What is this policy of United States? So
anyhow, thanks a lot for the detailed explanation. They are not even called anymore illegal immigrant. They are called people without papers, people without documentation. That's it. US is very famous for this terminological, jugglery. The same thing. You don't call him anymore. For instance, they assassinate people. They say no assassination. He is deleted. He is sort of neutralized like that. These people are all undocumented people. Anyhow, the US is facing an independent crisis, and as in the early part of 2000, when I was there, some colleagues suggested we should build a wall around US and other thing. One of my colleagues asked, who will build that wall? Only the Mexicans have to build the wall because there are no white Americans to build the wall. After building the wall, all the Mexicans will be on this side. So anyhow, that's a type of humor in those days, but it is a very serious issue actually. Europe, it has taken a different dimension. Large number of European countries are now struggling to deal with this migration. One, many of them are running high unemployment. Their economic position is very weak. Germany has become a sick child of Europe. Unbelievable, actually. Expecting to have a negative growth rate, and almost all of them are facing a economic crisis. The youth unemployment is extremely critical, which is measured there. Youth is 16 to 24, and not like India, where up to 70 you are youth. youth leader, and 55 youth icon, 65 youth leader, 70 you are the ultimate in youth. So that's not the definition is 16 to 24. The unemployment rate is ranging anywhere between 15 to 25%. Spain, Portugal, Italy, all these countries. Average for EU is around 14%. So this is a very, very, and so there is, when young are unemployed, there is a tendency to blame the migrant all over the world, whether it is Bombay, whether it is Bangalore, whether it is, and the locals are not getting adequate jobs, then migrants are blamed. Now in Europe, coincidentally, most of the migrants belonging to Islamic faith. So this is another dimension of the issue. So the anti-migrant is becoming anti-Islam. This is something which is to be cautiously observed. So parties which are against migrants, like in France, you have this Le Pen, and like in Germany, you have the Alternate for Democracy. Italy, already the lady is ruling. These are all variously called conservatives, or variously called, if you are not for them, you will call them fascist, or if some of them are left-leaning, but not for the migrants. Like Slovakia, very recently, one who got elected. So they are called actually as left-leaning, but not for migrants. Countries like Hungary has clearly told, we will not allow any migration. And Hungarian president openly said that the Islam and our culture will not be able to manage, will not, are not compatible. And Poland is already having a strict wall of thing. So there is a crisis within the Europe. How to handle this migration? Now these migrants are not, there is a business actually. There are agents who collect, as I told you, 8 to 10,000 US dollar per head. They bring them with a false hope, you may say, that you have a great opportunity and other thing. And in between, some of them capsize and die in the sea. Others, whoever comes finally. And many of them are in camps. And there is a campus, Sanangatte, between France and England. As some of you will be aware, England has left EU. England is not no more governed by the EU laws and other thing, because England knew that it's a huge amount of a crisis, particularly the rural England. The London England is different. Now, various towns of Europe, if you look at it, from Leicester in the UK to Malmö in Sweden, Marseille, then Belgium, there the Brussels, enormous number of towns. If you look at it, they are all significant number of migrant and significant number of Islam believers also. For instance, London Bridge. Asan is done 5 times a day on London Bridge. Unbelievable, actually. The Church of England dare not send a priest there to talk about God or anything. But this is happening. Large number of towns actually, on the roads, on the railway platforms, on various places, people are praying. The Islamic people are praying because inadequacy of the available mosque is one reason which is told. But let's be very clear, in France it is told 14 to 15% are migrants of Islamic faith. But many people say it could be as high as 25%, because proper census has not been done and the number of people coming in is phenomenally high. Some of the Norwegian countries, the situation is very bad actually. There is a day-to-day violence. There is a lot of skirmishes between the locals and the migrants. Many of the migrants are not very tuned to the European way of living or anything. They are, from their own villages or from their own places, from their own tribes and other things. So they have their own idea of good and bad, or what is to be done. So this is a significant large crisis point for Europe. And if the places like Malmo, places like Marseille, the number of Islamic migrant is so high, it's felt that sooner or later these places are going to be electing mayors and various. Already adjacent to Brussels, there is a small town where the mayor is of the Islamic faith, and he has declared Friday to be the national minister area holiday and other thing. So there is a brewing tension both in Italy, Spain, all these countries actually. It's not going to be tackled very easily. Some of them are integrated, very difficult. Many of them are talking about having many of them are talking about having their own type of a system. For instance, in France, there is a everlasting battle between people having this, what one can call hijab, and people not. Recently, France banned hijab playing this hockey and other type of games and other thing, which has been strongly criticized. And France is a country actually which encouraged the original Ayatollah Khomeini. They kept it, and then when the Shah overthrown, France sent him to Iran to rule. France was, France have done a lot of damage all over the world actually, including Mali recently. Now they wanted to bring about order, and they have told that covering your face, veil, in terms of burqa is not allowed, another thing. So there is a huge amount of tension building at local level. There are many areas in Europe today where the cops are told no-go area. You can't go there. The local Jamaat will sort out the issue. If there is any issue, you have to inform the head of the Jamaat and he will sort it out. So the no-go areas are increasing, and it's a very serious issue, which is not, of course, Indian channels and other things are totally oblivious to it, and places like Tamil Nadu or any regional channel, I don't think will know even what is happening in the European situation. So Europe sooner or later will face this problem, and it is going to be not an easy one to sort it out. It's sitting on a tinder box. This I have been telling for the last 5 years, and it's not going to be very easy. And if there is a massive conflict, Europe can't deal with this problem. Simply, the average age of a Belgian soldier, believe me, is 42. His belt size is also 42. So, they are not, they have lost the will to fight. They are all in their music concerts and their, what you may call, beaches and other thing. Their population is also shrinking, the white population. If you today go to Paris, or if you go, you will find only Somalis and people from other African countries all around the place actually. Eiffel Tower is completely dominated by them. They will be selling you all the knickknacks and other thing for the euro. That's a different issue. You will hardly find any white Parisian walking on the Seine and other thing, unlike in a movie or yeah.
Sorry, I was there in 2019 in Paris, and what you're saying is very true. They have done a little bit of cosmetic cleanup in and around the Eiffel Tower, just so that they don't scare away the tourists. But to me, Paris was a bit of a disappointment. They say culture capital, this, that. Sir, hardly 5 or 10 tourist spots, and all of them have aggressive panhandling. That is what you meant. Panhandling is the US begging. Aggressive meaning like they are in your face, and they know that you are also a tourist. Tourists will have that usual thing, right? One bag, and then looking around everywhere. So they know who's tourist and who's local. A lot of aggressive begging happens, and they'll bring you a piece of letter saying that I am from this country, I'm poor, please help me, that sort of stuff also. So it takes the fun out of the entire experience.
Ah,
So
yeah.
I agree with you. Go ahead, sir.
So in case some of you are interested, I would recommend you now itself go and see whatever little is left of Europe, Italy, or the first town could be Leicester, they say, near Birmingham. It will be the first European town, even though technically UK is not in Europe, which will be completely under the control of the the non-whites, you may call it. And there is a large number of towns in Europe which are not, which are going to be non-white controlled towns and other thing. It's a very, so if the old type of caliphate is to be established in Europe, which will be the capital is the debate now. Will it be Marseille? Will it be Brussels? Will it be Birmingham or Malmo? Or among them one can choose also. What I am wanting to come most important is, one of the major worries of me is when the conflict get accelerated, unlike in Iraq or other places where US can send missiles from their location or from various army bases. In Europe it cannot be done, because Europe, when you send a missile, it will hurt the whites also. It's not exclusively a what one can call a black zone. To Afghanistan you can send. Iraq, they told, has got a huge amount of this weapons of mass destruction. Finally, they couldn't find even one hydrochloric acid bottle there. They sent all these things. I was in US that time. I was worried because instead of I for Iraq, because on an average, Iyer will permit me to tell this, on an average, Americans are dumb. So they might send it to India. I for India instead of I for Iraq. My colleague used to tell, don't worry, Professor Nathan, because most of the fellows who sit in the computer console and punching are all Indians. So they would know when to send the missile where. So you don't have to have any worry. My point is, it's very difficult to deal with European crisis using long range or that type of missiles. And sending a human of US is a very difficult proposition nowadays. A single body bag coming into JFK will create such a huge amount of commotion, and the US is not the US of the 70s and 80s where they wouldn't mind sending large number of youngsters who get hurt or who get killed or anything. Afghanistan withdrawal clearly indicate that US is not wanting to directly involve itself in any physically sending their people. Ukraine war, they will send lot of money, they will give lot of weapons, but not human being. So one possibility, I am just telling possibility, I am not telling certainty, is to ask India to go to Europe for peacekeeping under the guise of becoming a member of the United Nations, the Security Council and other thing. We may be tempted. We will offer you that, but you have to send all your people in order to keep order in Europe. I think that's a extremely difficult situation, and India should politely say no. This is not our war. This is not our conflict. Let them sort it out. We should stand in the sideline, watch what is happening in Europe. Because First World War and Second World War, let me again remind you, it was between Britain, Germany and various other countries. But actually the people who fought were from countries like India. Indian soldiers were there in Singapore, Indian soldiers were there in Sudan. You go to Delhi, that tall monument will tell you how many number of people died in First and Second World Wars. So we have been the foot soldiers for all these wars of the Europeans. Europeans have wars and they call it world wars, because the whole world as our external affairs minister Jaishankar told, Europe think itself as the world. Their problem is the world problem, but the world's problem is not considered as their problem. Anyhow, we have to be cautious. I think we shouldn't get into this at all. This conflict between the emerging conflict between the European whites and the migrants who are predominantly Muslims. And Turkey is one of the most danger spots in this. Turkey is the most to be watched country. Kindly note our original Nalanda was burnt by Turkeys. That is the first what one can call 𝗤𝘃. So one has to be cautiously watching them. What they are doing is very, very important. So Europe on a tinderbox. India may be dragged into this, but we shouldn't be tempted to enter into this at all. Already India has sent so many people to various UN missions. We have not been fully paid also for all those things. It's supposed to be, we have paid our soldiers the extra, what are known as hardship allowance and all those things. But UN has yet to reimburse us huge amount of money. This government of India should bring a white paper on this actually. It would be very interesting and revealing for us. So Europe is facing problem. Europe is not realizing it. And I am telling you, in the post-election period in Germany, AfD will have a significant amount of votes. Similarly in France, Europe is not sustainable as a single entity, as it was one of the founding issues was Christianity. And now 20% of Europe only is ticking the box called we believe in believers. All others are non-believers or no. So this is the another interesting factor. So one has to wonder, somebody should write a 5-sentence essay for me. What is that which keeps Europe united? Other than hostility to Russia and other thing, or NATO type of thing. What is that which commonality which unite? What is common between German and Slovakian? What is common between French and German? It's very interesting because 50 years before they were all fighting each other every 10 years and 15 years.
Sir,
They were telling it's a 100-year war. They will fight 20 years and claim 100-year war. Anyhow, we have to be cautious, we have to be alert, and let's then be in the sideline, watch and enjoy the conflict which is going on. That's what I would like to stress. Yeah.
Sir, please take a sip of water. Please take a sip of water while we show a video. We'll show a small video of exactly what is going on, how these migrations are happening. Professor 𝗤𝗲𝗄 was talking about illegal migration into the United States. Part of that also is covered in this. Basically, today, 400,000 Venezuelans are allowed entry into US. 260,000 have already come in the month of September alone, and double that number is waiting to come in. Now, Mr. Biden wants to build a wall. This is all election gimmick. This guy doesn't mean a thing. In fact, we don't even know if he's sane enough to actually run this thing. Here we go. On trains. They're coming on trains.
They used to show some trains in Bangladesh during this Ramjan and other, carrying a huge number of people. I mean, they have just come in.
Yeah, they have no border, sir. No border. Just come in. That's it.
Oh gosh. This is what you were telling.
Yes, yes. See, the border cannot be on the river itself. It has to be a little bit inside. And they'll come and first pitch tent. And then slowly but steadily, they'll start moving in.
It's a very, very difficult situation.
Yes, yes. And see, whether we like Trump or not, he had actually contained this. He had kept US out of any new wars. He had also controlled Russia. He controlled China. China was actually what I would call as, US, they use these words freely, shitting in their pants. And last minute, they made one small change to somehow escape taxation, but the tariffs have not been removed. Today, the tariffs are still in place. Even Biden has not removed the tariffs from China. So some order was restored, but my fear is that this illegal influx has now essentially messed up the election process in US also. I doubt even if Trump contests in 2024, if he'll win. I'm very happy to be proved wrong. Sir, let's take some questions now.
Sure.
Jagannath Das wants to know, I just want to know from where these people are coming from. Is it happened actually to counter population decrease problem in Europe?
No, originally, Europe did want to encourage some amount of migration. I was talking to you about 50s and 60s. By today, what is happening is most of them are coming from countries which are having huge amount of internal problem, like your Somalia, like your Eritrea, Ethiopia, all these African countries which have got internal turmoil, plus Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, and Afghanistan, and I told you even Pakistan. So there is a dream of becoming a positive, with good employment and other things. That's why they pay for good amount of money and then come. Many of them, they are not coming just like that rushing. There is a big industry, business actually in this, who bring them in the boats and in the sort of a semi ships. As I told you, the rate is 8,000 to 10,000 US dollar. So much amount they have to. Many of them are in such a dire situation. They would have borrowed it at a heavy cost at the local level and then paid this. So this is the thing. It's not anymore countering the decrease in problem of Europe population, and many of them are totally unskilled. They are not. They are not even semi-skilled or anything.
Next question, please. Prashant Gupta wants to know, just one question to Professor. Will Europe implode in the next 7-8 years?
Yes.
Thanks.
Definitely within the coming decade, it will implode. It will explode. It's not going to be as it is.
Chaitanya Takle wants to know, Tamil Nadu breached a 50% mark for reservation. Was it based on some census?
No, this is out of syllabus question for this discussion. Anyhow, it is not based on any census or anything.
Next one, please. Govindarajan Krishnaswamy wants to know, Professor Sir, is it correct that many people are coming from Bangladesh and other borders and they are living in the entire India, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, AP, Telangana? What is the solution?
There is, we also have a porous border, same problem. Our borders on one side, on the Pakistan side, which we call as LOC, line of control, is completely demarcated, fenced, another thing. The other side, to China, it's called LAC, line of actual control. It's a fluctuating thing every day. When the Chinese are on some portion, it's the border. When we are on some portion, that become border. It's called LAC. On the Bangladesh side, it's a total free for all. We are not completely having any amount of what one can call fencing or control and other thing. There are a lot of economic reason. Large number of people, some of you may or may not know, visit from Bangladesh to Assam and some other state, do work in the daytime and then go back into Bangladesh. I have seen some places in border where a house is situated. One side of the house, it is suggested is Bangladesh side. This side of the house is our side, ours. One dog was in between. I asked whom it belongs to. Oh, they told depends on the tail where it goes. So, point I want to stress is there are huge amount of practical problem, and there are also issues of, let's be very blunt, bribery and corruption and other thing in terms of people moving from one location to another location. It's not, bribery is not only in land registration in Chennai or Bangalore, it is all over the place. So it's there is not much of a solution unless we give what are called work permits to these people, and ask them to keep work permit, but do not give them voting rights and other things. That is the most important thing. Okay.
Next one, please. Govindarajan Krishnasamy, is our government looking for any solution? What are your views, sir?
Government, I don't think looks for any solution normally. Solutions look for government actually. So that is the situation.
There's a lot in that line. Hrithik Great wants to know, do Britain become Islamic country by 2035 as per the illegal immigration and high child birth rate?
Quite possible. The largest number of surnames registered in London is Mohammed in the last year. So the number of births obviously are significantly very high, but one doesn't know what it will happen.
Last three questions, please. No more questions. Professor needs a break. Hrishikesh Tale wants to know, is this all immigration facade going on for population rejuvenation and future factory workers? Many Trump's religion must be motto the globalists are following. Why can't you write proper English, guys? Why are you making us jump through the hoops trying to understand what you are trying to tell us?
Population rejuvenation, I am not very sure. Because most of the migrants, at least today in Europe, are all not even semi-skilled, semi-literate. Most of them stay in camps and enjoy the whatever the benefits are given by the government. So it's not something facilitating the workforce or anything. Next.
Last question. This one is, are they doing this due to their guilt for eradicating the natives of the soil? Can you put up the next one also? Same person. I mean, there should be something that is inspiring them to do so.
Inspiring whom?
Go back
the migrants of the country.
To their guilt. That is like countries like Europe, European countries, France, Germany, France mostly, France and England. They were the colonizers, right?
I don't think so. It's beyond their control now. It's nothing to do with eradicating the natives of the soil or anything like that. And guilt is something which I don't think is associated. There are no guilt.
That brings us to a close of today's program. Thank you very much, Professor 𝗣𝗲, and viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell button for notification. I'm going to try and see if Professor 𝗣𝗲 can come regularly on Fridays at 7 p.m. like today, like tonight. And we need all your support, of course. Please do write in your comments, and we look forward to your enthusiastic reception back to Professor 𝗣𝗲. He's settled. He's got a new place now. Very nice, sir, and all the best to you. Congratulations. Namaskar.
Iyer, I just let him close down one question I wanted to ask you.